Well, good morning, everybody. Our satellite data from yesterday really kind of reveals where this pattern's going throughout this week. As I just kind of bring you through the day yesterday, just as the sun was setting, I'll tell you some of the big things we're going to watch. There is the chance of some tropical low pressure developing just off the southeast coast. It's going to go up the east coast and potentially deliver some heavy rain right along the coast. We are watching two pieces to the Midwest system here. The first is the large kind of cluster of clouds you see right here that's going to produce what we call a mesoscale convective vortex that's going to move toward the north, delivering some locally heavy rain. But we did watch last night as storms ripped off this dry line feature right here in parts of the central and southern plains. A lot of thunderstorm activity throughout the Rocky Mountains here and a much deeper low. You can see it's all curled up right here in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be the mainstay of the jet stream level pattern that's going to kick off a big system in the Midwest and plains later this week. Now, as I play this forward, as the sun was setting, we can see the storms popping here along the main flow, the main boundary right here in the southern plains. But we did notice some wildfire smoke in Arizona, some in California and Oregon, and also you can see it here in parts of the northern plains as well. Now, I want to show you just those storms that moved right over the top of Oklahoma because these did produce some severe weather, but I'm just always amazed to look at this on satellite. I know we've had this for a long time, but most of my professional career, we did not have access to such high-resolution satellite data, so still I find myself every day looking closely at it. What I always find neat is you can actually see the fine-scale features, like look at the gravity waves coming off the top of that overshooting top there. In fact, look at all of these overshooting tops. They're just really poking up there into the base of the stratosphere. Just beautiful to watch those storms just explode. And I just love to look at these anvil shadows. It just tells you how tall these storms are. It's incredible to see here. But these storms did pack a punch last night. We had 44 reports of severe weather damage. Most of them were coming from hail, but we had some straight line wind reports as well. Some of the hail was getting pretty large. You can see here in Texas, Childress County, we had 2.5 inch diameter stones. So this was a pretty rough event yesterday in terms of local hail damage right here from that cluster I just showed you. But I'm interested as to where it's going next because as I brought up a moment ago, the lead part of that storm system right here is spinning up this morning over southwestern Missouri as what we call the mesoscale convective vortex. It's like a small low pressure system. And we are going to watch this meander off to the north with time here. And it's going to be a good one to watch because of its potential for some pretty heavy rainfall. Now, outside of that, heavy rains in southern Florida. You can see the storms again yesterday that came out of the Rocky Mountains and then what we saw in the southern plains. And there is some rain moving out of eastern Montana early this morning as well. So just a good look here at where the next about 12 hours are going to go by watching these storm systems move. Now, I do often get asked, what are all these blotches that you see here? That's actually the individual radars. All of that is called ground clutter, or it's just clear air echo, or it's non-meteorological targets that the radar is hitting and getting a return off of. Most of the time it's bugs and dust and stuff in the air, but there's always a flash every night, especially during the summer months, that starts off in the east and goes west. Watch it here again in just a few moments. There it is. And what that is, as it goes from the east to the west, that's sunset, and that's when all the bugs come out. So the radar intercepts them, and you can see them pretty clearly there. So just wanted to explain that real quick. Okay, let's add all this up over the last 3 days and take a look at total accumulated precipitation. Sorry about that. There we go. Again, we had the system early this week dumping all the heavy rain in New England. We're going to watch a second one here that's going to race up the coast for the rest of this week. There's the rain kind of scattered around I-80. Right here on the corner of Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, we had locally heavy rain last night. That's going to be the system I'll watch today move to the north. And you can see the isolated storm events we got throughout the Rocky Mountains here. Okay, this pattern, though, is being dictated by two troughs off the west coast. This one having polar origins to it, and this one right in through here coming out of the subtropics. But the point is they're both coming together right here over the Rocky Mountains to produce a pretty large low later this week that's going to move out into the plains. This is the little shortwave out ahead of this that we're going to keep an eye on today. We're going to watch right in through here for our storm system to develop. That's going to have some tropical nature to it, move up the east coast. Elsewhere, we've got Nigel, and this deeper trough here is still a part of Lee. So Lee is kind of influencing this strong storm system moving into the UK. So in the US, if we just focus on the jet stream level winds, take a look at how this is going to shake down here. These two troughs continue to merge throughout the day today into tonight. And then by Thursday, you can see that the upper level low meets up with the subtropical piece of the jet stream, and this is going to kick out a pretty potent system in the midsection of the country. And that's going to be one that's going to give us the threat of severe weather over the next few days. Now that rolls through. It's going to take quite some time, to get through. This is Saturday, getting into Sunday. You say, well, why does it take so long? Well, here's the low, but the main flow of the jet stream is north of it and south of it. So this is cut off from the flow, which means there's nothing to push it around. So you'll see this in a few minutes, that we'll watch this low just spin up here all the way through the very beginning of next week. Then behind it, much deeper troughs take over in the western United States. We still have some bit of a subtropical jet, which we've been talking a lot about over these weeks, about being a main part of this developing El Nino. But this is going to dominate the west coast in a big way. I want to show you those newest precipitation totals in just a few moments. So back to the beginning of this. Today, where do we have the risk for strong to severe storms? Again, we're going to keep an eye right here early this morning. We're going to watch as the new wave opens up tomorrow on the 21st. Right in through here, this is where they have right now a marginal risk of severe storms. And then as we get out there, this would be day 3. So we're going to watch here on the 22nd. This would be Friday for storms to erupt right in this area. Let's go from here to the Storm Prediction Center webpage. That's where I get this data that I map for you. And I want to show you their convective outlook maps, if we can get it to load here. Sorry, I got a little bit of a slow internet connection this morning. I'm in Albert Lee, Minnesota, and just a little bit slow here. But there we go. I wanted to show you that. That's Saturday's risk right in there. Now, the high-res NAM won't get out that far, but we can take a look at it starting this morning. Now, a lot of things going on here. Ready? There's the one meso low we talked about. Watch that spin up over Missouri, possibly come into Illinois now. That's a much farther east shift than we originally thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to curl up closer to eastern Iowa in previous forecasts. So that's getting through this evening. We're going to watch a lot of storms out ahead of that deeper wave. Remember the combination of the subtropical component, the polar component. So you can see all of the storms getting kicked off here because of that. And then we're going to watch isolated storms in the southeast. So this is through tonight, getting into Thursday midday. So possibly some heavy rain moving through Illinois with that one. Isolated storms in the plains beginning to show up here. And the upper level low that's going to try to cut itself off. Now watch, just keep an eye up here in the Pacific Northwest. It's just going to cut itself off and spin. So did you notice, here we are on Thursday morning, but by Thursday night into Friday morning, it didn't move. See, this is what we mean by cutoff flow. It just gets stuck, it sits and spins, and that's what's going to initiate this multi-day rainfall event in the midsection of the country. Now, while that's happening, take a look over here. This is about the time frame late this week that this coastal subtropical system is going to try to fire up and deliver rain to the East Coast. So we add it all up, and we're going to use the WPC today just to get an idea on this. This is its latest forecast for total accumulated precip through the next 7 days. We're just using it as a benchmark to kind of figure out where those heaviest rains could possibly be coming through. Now, since we do have a tropical system to be thinking about, I want to go out and give you the latest I've got on the next 5 days. The National Hurricane Center's only got it at a 30% chance at developing. And I'm not overly concerned about the tropical characteristics of this. It's mainly going to be the flood threat that we could get along the East Coast from it. Outside of that, we've got Nigel, and then there is this system that's over here that's this African easterly wave that just came off. And right now, most models are taking whatever it is and just turning it to the north. So we don't yet see much evidence that this is going to be, a system that could impact the United States. Still no activity showing up in the Gulf, though. Take a look there. Despite 86 to 90 degree ocean temperatures, nothing brewing yet in the Gulf of Mexico. So what do we have? Let's go to the European model and just kind of examine it today. So we've already walked through here about Friday. Now remember, this is where the upper level trough, the subtropical jet, are going to be coming out, and they're going to open this whole corridor up to warm, moist, unstable air, while a tropical system, subtropical system tries to move up the East Coast. So this is getting to Friday night, working our way into Saturday and Sunday. So do you see how slow that thing is moving? Remember, the reason is it's cut off. So there's going to be 3 days. Watch this. Let's go back. Here we go. Friday, Saturday into Sunday. There it is on Monday. I mean, it's still here, but I guess it's 5 days the system's going to be around, just completely cut off from the flow. And therefore, it's going to be a rainmaker all the way out there to maybe midweek next week, maybe up to next Wednesday. And while that's all happening, we see deeper troughs of low pressure cutting into the Pacific Northwest this weekend. This is getting it Sunday into Monday. I'm just keeping an eye right up here into Tuesday. So we could add some good rainfall into this area. To kind of get a good idea on how much, I'm going to go to the probability maps because I don't think the models, and I don't even think that the WPC has really captured, where is it, how much rain we're going to get in here. So let's use the probabilities to get a better idea on this. This is our best chance at grabbing an inch. So probability of 1 inch in the next 10 days. And you can see some locally very heavy rain will be coming out of this system. I will say this, the latest trends have been farther to the east with the heavier rainfall. And you can also see right here along the coast where we're expecting our best chances of heaviest rain. Outside of that, it's the Willamette Valley, it's I-5 corridor, it's parts of the Blue Mountains here in Northern California as well, getting a good chance at an inch of rainfall. Heavier rains, let's go after 2 inches here just to get an idea. This is the probability of 2 inches out of this. And we can kind of see too where we expect things to be drier. This is where the chances are of having less than half of an inch. So just some perspective here. Now what's important about this heavy rainfall that's coming into this area is that this is the area that since the 15th of August has been very, very dry. So there are parts of South Dakota that are going to finally be getting some rainfall, that the time period of, the 14th to the 19th, 14th of August, 19th of September, it's been the driest such stretch of days on our meteorological record. So to see this rainfall get into this area is going to be critical. It will, some of it get into the Mississippi River, which I checked this morning at Memphis, was 9 feet below low stage. And so we need to get this moisture into this area, okay? On the week 2 side of this, the models are going into that transition. Like we talked about the up-down behavior of the flow going through the rest of September. And even though there's quite a bit of heavy rain coming in now into this area, we're going to watch a little bit of a drier go of it next week. But the deeper troughs off the west, I mean, it's pretty clear in all the models. I'll just show you the European as a good example. Wetter conditions throughout the Pacific Northwest, wetter conditions throughout the Canadian Prairie are being forecast as well. So with those deeper troughs coming into the west, that's where our colder air is going to be as well. This is the probability or the chance of, let me rephrase that. This is a map that shows you everywhere that the temperatures are going to be below 35. So I call it a probability because you get below 35 degrees Fahrenheit, you have a pretty good chance that you're going to hit a frost as well in local areas. So while most of this is at very high elevation, you can see there's quite a bit of cold air tucked away in the west with this pattern. So to see it, let's just go right here to the latest data from the National Digital Forecast Database. We're cooler in Arkansas, parts of Oklahoma and Missouri today because of cloud cover and rain, but around it, much warmer conditions. The west is going to really start to cool off, though, as that trough dives in, while the warm, moist, and unstable air kind of occupies a bigger section of the Midwestern United States. This is Friday's temperatures. Getting into Saturday, the cool weather across the east is because of the tropical development here, the subtropical development here. And then we're going to see getting into the weekend, Saturday, this is now Sunday to Monday, and Tuesday, that we tend to keep this pattern much colder in the west and warmer than average across most of the rest of the country. The new longer range forecast just keeps that going. Ready? Here's the next 5 days. This is day 5 through 10, and this is day 10 through 15. So a lot of cool air in the west right now because the pattern is favoring deeper troughs here and broader ridging across the rest of the country. That's it. And we just seem to get stuck in that pattern a little bit as we go forward. Okay, my last few slides here, some of the things we need to just have a quick chat about. September and October. Now, when we look at every time we've had an El Nino develop, those are the years, we tended to get wet in a couple of corridors later in the time period. So late September into October, there tends to be just above average moisture in these two areas. So seeing that and remembering yesterday us talking about the movement of the MJO and what it could end up doing to develop, deeper troughs that sit over the west, and with the subtropical jet coming underneath it, you tend to see this as the possible thing that could happen. What I want to share with you is that the newest longer range runs from the European model are suggesting that being the case. This is the new outlook for October. So you're looking at October precipitation anomalies. And the big things I saw was a wetter trend here, some wetter trend in the Canadian Prairie. We saw the trend that was dry here end, and now we see, I know it's still drier than average, but we see it less dry than average. So I would expect as we move out of September and October for things to get quite a bit more active. And we're seeing that not only in the European extended forecast, but also in the CFSV2. This is the 3rd through the 9th. Again, see the increased activity here. And this would be the 10th through the 16th. So we're really starting to pick up on a much more active pattern going forward, which is so critical given the drought situation throughout the central United States, from Texas all the way up to Minnesota. I mean, it's all throughout the central U.S. Now, from here, one last thing to talk about. There's a place that really wants to see a wetter trend that's not getting it, and it's South America. Here's your newest 10-day outlook. As we just play this out, it's the same story. We continue to get our heaviest rains farther to the south, and not so much here across the regions that really need it. This is the main growing area that needs to see more precipitation than this to start aggressively planting. So we'll keep an eye on the planting pace there, but with that, I'll wrap it up. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks.